Okay, let's start. David there, Akshay. Okay, time to start. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Sahana Bhavatu Sahanu Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Asato ma Sadgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Aviravirmayedhi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tam Agocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Let we be protected, let we be nourished, let we strive with energy and vigor. Let our study be enlightening and not give rise to hostility. Om peace, peace, peace. Lead us to truth and not to untruth. Lead us to enlightenment and not ignorance. Lead us to immortality and not death. Let the self-manifest Atman grow in me. Om peace, peace, peace. I vow to Govinda, whose nature is bliss supreme, who is the Sadguru, who can be known only from the import of all Vedanta, and who is beyond the reach of speech and mind. We are studying Vivekachudamani. As we know, Vivek is power of discrimination, power of separation. Why it is required? Because this is, everything is mixed up. Truth and untruth got mixed up. We have to see the truth. When we identify truth, then we can see that truth all along. Whatever we concentrate, like a physicist will concentrate on physical principles, maybe particle physics. So he looks at the world from that standpoint. A botanist or a geologist will look at this world as his standpoint, from his standpoint. Similarly, we need to cultivate an eye so that we can see what is right, what is true. It is very difficult otherwise. All the time we take something which it is not. And this mistake is inherent. It is the power of God's power of God. And we call it Maya, Yama, what is not. But it looks like that. So is it totally false? No, because we experience this. So what is that which gives that existence? That is what we need to understand. And that is what we are doing all along. So before we proceed, we'll read from the Gospel of the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. Here, Vivek.
I'm reading from the Jnana Yoga lectures. This one is called Maya and Illusion. Coming from abstractions to the common, everyday details of our lives, we find that our whole life is a contradiction, a mixture of existence and non-existence. There is this contradiction in knowledge. It seems that man can know everything if he only wants to know, but before he has gone a few steps, he finds an adamantine wall which he cannot pass. All his work is in a circle, and he cannot go beyond that circle. The problems which are nearest and dearest to him are impelling him on and calling day and night for a solution. But he cannot solve them because he cannot go beyond his intellect. And yet that desire is implanted strongly in him. Still, we know that the only good is to be obtained by controlling and checking it. With every breath, every impulse of our heart asks us to be selfish. At the same time, there is some power beyond us which says that it is unselfishness alone which is good. Every child is born an optimist. He dreams golden dreams. In youth, he becomes still more optimistic. It is hard for a young man to believe that there is such a thing as death, such a thing as defeat or degradation. Old age comes and life is a mass of ruins. Dreams have vanished into the air, and the man becomes a pessimist. Thus we go from one extreme to another, buffeted by nature, without knowing where we are going. It reminds me of a celebrated song in the Lalita Vistara, the biography of Buddha. Buddha was born, says the book, as the savior of mankind, but he forgot himself in the luxuries of his palace. Some angels came and sang a song to rouse him. And the burden of the whole song is that we are floating down the river of life, which is continually changing with no stop and no rest. So are our lives going on and on without knowing any rest. What are we to do? The man who has enough to eat and drink is an optimist, and he avoids all mention of misery, for it frightens him. Tell not to him of the sorrows and the sufferings of the world. Go to him and tell that it is all good. Yes, I am safe, says he. Look at me. I have a nice house to live in. I do not fear cold and hunger. Therefore, do not bring these horrible pictures before me. But, on the other hand, there are others dying of cold and hunger. If you go and teach them that it is all good, they will not hear you. How can they wish others to be happy when they are miserable? Thus, we are oscillating between optimism and pessimism.
Yeah,
Then,
so just a minute. To contradictions. These are the contradictions. When we see that everything is flowery, everything is so optimistic, but gradually we see everything goes, it slips from our fingers, in between our fingers. So this is, we are to first see it, why this happens, and what is the cause of it, and what is the way to come out of it. Yes.
Then there is the tremendous fact of death. The whole world is going towards death. Everything dies. All our progress, our vanities, our reforms, our luxuries, our wealth, our knowledge have that one end, death. That is all that is certain. Cities come and go, empires rise and fall, planets break into pieces and crumble into dust, to be blown about by the atmospheres of other planets. Thus it has been going on from time without beginning. Death is the end of everything. Death is the end of life, of beauty, of wealth, of power, of virtue too. Saints die and sinners die. Kings die and beggars die. They are all going to death, and yet this tremendous clinging on to life exists. Somehow, we do not know why we cling to life. We cannot give it up. And this is Maya. The mother is nursing a child with great care. All her soul, her life is in that child. The child grows, becomes a man, and perchance becomes a blackguard and a brute, kicks her and beats her every day. And yet the mother clings to the child, and when her reason awakes, she covers it up with the idea of love. She little thinks that it is not love, that it is something which has got hold of her nerves which she cannot shake off, however she may try. She cannot shake off the bondage she is in, and this is Maya.
So what is Maya? So here what Swamiji gave two examples. Like we cling to some ideas, and we cannot get rid of it, though we know that it is not what it should be. So this clinging, this infatuation, that happens because of Maya. So though we see that this is not truth, but we cannot get rid of it. So this is because of clinging. See, we see death, but still we love our bodies, our mind. We cannot get rid of it. So this is because of the force. That is what Maya is. Atasmin tad buddhi. Okay, what is the reason behind? There is truth. On that truth, there is ego. On that ego, all are identifies. All are identified. So whatever is identified on that truth looks like it is truth. So there is a truth, and on that truth, ego. Because of that ego, whatever ego possesses, that looks like it is mine. Say, behind this body-mind complex, there is a person. But person has ego, but ego is also not permanent. It appears and disappears. So what is permanent? That quality is imposed on that ego, and because of that imposition, everything looks like it is real. So reality is from the person, from the being. That reality is imposed on everything. It looks like everything is real. Yeah, everything is real. See? So, but as soon as we close the class, this will be a memory. And memory like imagination. Just imagine, you came from somewhere. So that time it was real, because you are the real person. But as you came, that's now memory. Memory is like imagination. So whatever is on the truth, that looks real. But we have to take that which is real, not whatever is on the truth. On the truth is ego, and whatever ego identifies looks real. So we have to find that truth on which ego is sitting. So that's why when we say I am, what we do, we identify with our body mind, but actually that's not the case. It is behind that, and because of that, that identification is extended. So mother loves her child. Why? Because mother ego, it's my child. So even if my child beats her, mother likes it, likes her child. It's because it's a sense of belonging, because she feels one with that child. And it is because of this understanding that the self, on the self, this pratyaya pravah, pratyaya means it is there. But why it is there? It is because of mother, the reality of mother, and then mother's ego, and whatever ego identifies is my child. So whatever mother that child does, she cannot get rid of. Yes.
We are all after the golden fleece. Every one of us thinks that this will be his. Every reasonable man sees that his chance is, perhaps, 1 in 20 million. Yet everyone struggles for it. And this is Maya. Death is stalking day and night over this earth of ours, but at the same time, we think we shall live eternally. A question was once asked of King Yudhishthira, what is the most wonderful thing on this earth? And the king replied, "Every day people are dying around us, and yet men think they will never die. And this is Maya." These tremendous contradictions in our intellect, in our knowledge, yea, in all the facts of our life, face us on all sides. A reformer arises and wants to remedy the evils that are existing in a certain nation. And before they have been remedied, 1,000 other evils arise in another place. It is like an old house that is falling. You patch it up in one place, and the ruin extends to another. In India, our reformers cry and preach against the evils of enforced widowhood. In the West, non-marriage is the great evil. Help the unmarried on one side, they are suffering. Help the widows on the other, they are suffering. It is like chronic rheumatism. You drive from the head and it goes to the body. You drive it from there and it goes to the feet. Reformers arise and preach that learning, wealth, and culture should not be in the hands of a select few, and they do their best to make them accessible to all. These may bring more happiness to some, but perhaps as culture comes, physical happiness lessens. The knowledge of happiness brings the knowledge of unhappiness. Which way then shall we go? The least amount of material prosperity that we enjoy is causing the same amount of misery elsewhere. This is the law. The young perhaps do not see it clearly, but those who have lived long enough and those who have struggled enough will understand it. And this is Maya. These things are going on day and night, and to find a solution of this problem is impossible. Why should it be so? It is impossible to answer this because the question cannot be logically formulated. There is neither how nor why. In fact, we only know that it is and that we cannot help it. Even to grasp it, to draw an exact image of it in our own mind, is beyond our power. How can we solve it then?
So this contradiction is because of the ego. See, like, and again, there is no solution within the mind. We cannot find solution in whatever is projected. See, the truth is there. On that truth, ego, on that ego, whatever ego identifies, so that is, we can safely call that it is Maya. That means it has a component of existence that comes from me. At the same time, it has a component which is not me, appearance. So because of this, we cannot find a solution within that. So what is the way then? We are to find that source on which ego draws the power and then identifies the whole world. We are to find that truth. We are to find that truth on which ego, see, like I am. How I can say I am? It's behind this I am, there is truth. And that truth, because of that truth, ego gets identified. I am. And then it identifies with the objects. This is my book. This is my property. So solution is not in the property. Solution is not in the projected things. Solution lies within. So this we are to develop. Now, before we go, let me read from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, what we read today. That's very relevant. So there you'll find Sri Ramakrishna, how he depicts. It's difficult to understand also. Here also many people will miss. So Sri Ramakrishna went to see Keshav, the last visit to Keshav. And he was restless, but disciple of Keshav's were distracting him, saying that now he'll come, now he'll come. But he was delayed. So one of the disciple said, "Sir, he will come in a few minutes. Master, go away. It is you who are making all this fuss. Let me go in." But then Prasanna began to talk about the Keshav in order to divert the master's attention. He said, Keshav is now an altogether different person. Like you, sir, he talks to the Divine Mother. He hears what the mother says and laughs and cries. When he was told that Keshav talked to the Divine Mother and laughed and cried, the master became ecstatic. Presently, he went into Samadhi. So he was eager to see Keshav, but now he is in Samadhi. It was winter and the master was very happy. So he sat straight with his eyes fixed, deep in ecstasy. A long time passed. In this way, there was no indication of his returning to the normal plane of consciousness. Gradually, it became dark. So he was absorbed. The same person who was eager to meet Keshav, but he's now in Samadhi. And he was there for a long time. Now, after that, master enters, the Keshav comes, and they also took master inside. So he saw various furniture, etc. So he said, these things were necessary before, but of what use are they now? And seeing Rakhal, he said, oh, hello, are you here? See, he forgot that Rakhal was with him. So, oh, hello, are you here? Then seating himself on a couch, he again lost consciousness of the outer world. And looking around as if seeing someone, he said, hello, mother, I see that you too have come. How you are showing off in your Banaras sari. Don't bother me now. Please sit down and be quiet. So his mind is totally within himself. He was totally absorbed. Now he comes out. But that time also he sees mother, and whatever is manifested there, it is pratyaya prabaha. That means that flow of that truth. He does not see even other things. Or whatever he saw, he discriminated. These furnitures, etc. It was valuable before. Now what is the use? Now he says, still filled with divine fervor, he says, the body and the soul. The body was born and it will die. But for the soul, there is no death. It is like the betel nut. When the nut is ripe, it does not stick to the shell. But when it is green, it is difficult to separate it from the shell. After realizing God, one does not identify oneself anymore with the body. Then one knows that body and soul are two different things. So this is, and then Sri Ramakrishna comes down. Then he says, now he came to see Keshav, but he did not ask how are you, what are you doing, how you feel. Now we do like all kinds of. He's talking all about God. So the person who was totally immersed in samadhi, now he comes out, but he looks at the world as the same manifestation of God. Now he says, as long as man associates himself with upadhis means adjuncts. Upadhi is like body is an adjunct, intellect is an adjunct, even ego is also adjunct. With upadhis, so long he sees the manifold. So when we have identification with upadhis, then only we see many. Otherwise, it is all one. Such as Keshav, Prasanna, Amrita, and so on. But on attaining perfect knowledge, he sees only one consciousness everywhere. The same perfect knowledge. Again, makes him realize that one consciousness has become the universe and its living being. So one consciousness has become this, the living beings and whole universe. Now, what is the difference? We see also difference. Like you are there, the furnitures are there. So what is the difference? Difference is we see only furniture. We don't see God there. But Sri Ramakrishna, when he is coming down from Samadhi, he looks everything same truth, but in that form. So it is the thing that one identifies. We identify as the physical thing, but he identifies as manifestation of same God. When he's merged in Samadhi, then he's not bothered about anything. When he comes out, when he's in our dual world, he looks everything and he finds everything is God. So he would say that all people are like pillowcases. Anyway, we'll read a little more. The same perfect knowledge again makes him realize that the one consciousness has become the universe and its living beings, and the 24 cosmic principles. But the manifestations of divine power are different in different beings. You say, like, it is not same everywhere. So this becomes confusing for us. Say in man, it is more clear. In animals, it is less clear. In the plants, it is still least clear. And in ordinary, say uh, uh, jada vastu. Jada means like whatever is objects. There is least clear. But it is everything is God. God is manifesting in so many forms. So it is like Sri Ramakrishna went to see an exhibition, and he saw everything is made up of sugar. The Krishna is made up of sugar, the tree is made up of sugar, and he's playing on a flute. It's also sugar, but same sugar in different shapes. So this is the difference. Difference is in looking at things. We look at things, we understand this is all like objects. But when a realized person looks at it, he knows that it is all that same truth manifesting in so many forms. So he undoubtedly who has become everything, but in some cases there is greater manifestation than in others. So like that, it goes on, and he gives example. But if you um, read this later, if you forget that he was merged in Samadhi and then he came out, if you forget that, then you may miss the idea. Because later what he says that everything is God. So what is the point here? Point is we are to develop an eye to see the same truth everywhere. It is not enough to see within. Rather, we have to see outside also. Now here comes what we have studied, 521. Brahma pratyaya santati jagatah brahmaiva tatsarvata pasyadhyatma drisha prashant manasa sarvaswasth avasthaswapi urupad anyat avekshitam kimabhish chakshushmata drishyate tadvad brahmavidah satah kim aparam buddhir viharaspadam. So what he's saying, let me translate that. Read the translation first, so it will be clear. The universe is an unbroken series of perceptions of Brahman. Now, whatever we see, the Shishya that who realized, for him, everything is Brahman. For us, we don't see Brahman, we see only world. So this is the difference. So here teacher is blessing him that the universe is an unbroken series of perceptions of Brahman. Hence, it is in all respects nothing but Brahman. So whatever we see, it is Brahman and Brahman alone. So now see the difference. Those who have realized, they will see it is Brahman and Brahman alone. Those who have not realized, they will say, this is real. It's not Brahman, it's object. And then they get infatuated. I want to grab this. But when one sees Brahman everywhere, he is not infatuated for something. Rather, he has equanimous or equanimity, same-sightedness to all things. Is not particularly for something. So sometimes it is there. Say like Sri Ramakrishna came to see Keshav Chandra Singh. So in Vyavahara, when he came also, he saw that same truth. But he talked about that truth, not how he was keeping, etc. So ordinary thing. So let us finish this. The universe is an unbroken series of perceptions of Brahman. Hence, it is in all respects nothing but Brahman. See this with the eye of illumination and a serene mind. So serene mind, only Shanta, only peaceful mind. That means where there is no deflection, there is no waves. And when mind is pure, through that mind only we can see. If mind is buffeted by so many things, so many desires, then we cannot see this. So see this with the eye of illumination and a serene mind under all circumstances. Is one who has eyes never found to see all around everything else but forms. So like he gives him an example. Like we have eyes, we see only forms through eyes. Similarly, if a person's awareness is awakened, then he sees only God and God alone and nothing else. Similarly, what is there except Brahman to engage the intellect of a man of realization? There is nothing else. It is not a question, it is answer. What is there without Brahman? Nothing. You want to say something? That's not infatuation. That is loving your own self. See, infatuation means something like what is not yourself. You're already there. You love yourself more than anything, your real self. Everything can be washed off, but not yourself. You can get rid of everything outside of you, but not yourself. See, whatever you perceive, it is because of yourself, your real self. If you are not there, you cannot hear what we are talking about. So you are present here. Similarly, you dream, it is because of you. You dream. Whatever you dream, that will go away. And similarly, when you sleep, whatever you experience in waking state, that also will go away. But you yourself will never go away. You cannot say, oh, I dreamt why I was not there. You cannot say this. You were there, that's why you dreamt. You are here, that's why you are listening. What is the point then? Point is that truth which cannot be obliterated in any condition. That is real self. Ego comes and go away. Sense of ego, like this I am, that also comes and goes away. But Brahma Pratyaya, that means your real self, this is all the time there. It's underlying, right? As we cannot get rid of seeing objects because we have eyes. Similarly, if you have awakened this idea, then you'll see Brahman alone, God alone, yourself alone. Okay, we go to the next. Kastvam Parananda Rasanubhuti Usrijya Shunyeshu Rameta Vidwan Chandre Mahalladini Dipyamani Chitrendu Malokitam Alokaitum Kaiche. So he gives another example. What is that? What wise man would discard that enjoyment of supreme bliss and revel in things unsubstantial? So that's not, whatever is unsubstantial, nobody will enjoy that. But whatever is substantial, whatever is inside, says Sri Ramakrishna, when he's absorbed in samadhi, he did not bother about anything. Even the same person who was eager to see Keshav, he stopped. And then he even could not identify Rakhal. Say, oh, hello, you are here. And he's looking at mother. Mother means his own self. And he says, no, not now, because I am now engaged in world. So it is very interesting. So what is there? What wise man would discard that enjoyment of supreme bliss and revel in things unsubstantial when the exceedingly charming moon is shining? The charming moon is shining. Then somebody comes with a picture of moon. See, this is very nice. Stop it, because I'm seeing the moon. Similarly, if a person is awake to see Brahman, he'll not see anything else, because that will not um, give him that joy, that bliss. So this is an example. Okay, so let us go to the next. Asat padarthanubhavena kinchit na hyasti triptir na dukkhani tadvat anandarsanubhutya triptah sukham tishtha sadatmanishtaya. Now he is instructing the disciple. From the perception of unreal things, there is neither satisfaction nor a cessation of misery. Like when we interact with the world, if we see this world as objects that can never satisfy us, and it's not enough. So, therefore, being satisfied with the realization of the bliss absolute, the one without a second, live happily in a state of identity with that reality. So first we have to identify this, and then we have to stay with it. Only nobody can shake us. Nobody can destabilize us from that state. So asat padarthanubhavena kinchit na hi asti triptir na cha dukkha. Objects, whatever objects. We eat in the morning, then after 4 or 5 hours, it is again we are hungry. So this is, and you go on eating. In the beginning, it will be very tasty. Then it is just gobbling. So that cannot give us satisfaction, number one. And secondly, it does not stop misery. That means hunger will come again. Again, the desire for enjoying more things will come. That's why, those who are drug addicts, they take the pills, and then again they want to have it. So this is kind of that addiction. So it cannot stop misery, and it cannot give satisfaction. Therefore, being satisfied with the realization of the bliss absolute, being satisfied, bliss absolute, the one without a second, live happily in a state of identity with that reality. This we are to develop. Once that is developed, then after descending from there, then we see it is the same thing. Then we don't see objects, physical objects. No. Objects will be there, but it's not no more physical. It is spiritual. It is no more physical. Okay, we go to the next. Swamev sarvatha pashyan manyamanah swam advayam swanandam anubhunjanah kalam naya mahamad. Now he again blesses that Swameva sarvatha pashyan. See yourself in everything, everywhere. Swam eva sarvatha pashyan, in all time. And manyamanah swam adhyam. And you alone are real. Beholding the self alone. See, like this whole world. Where is this whole world? It is in my consciousness. So in my consciousness, this whole world is floating. So consciousness alone is real. Consciousness alone is real, and this consciousness is all pervading. We have to see this consciousness. Swam eva sarvatha pashyan. So, beholding the self alone in all circumstances, thinking of the self, the one without a second, and enjoying the bliss of the self. Pass thy time, O noble soul. So first we have to see this whole world. Where is whole world? In my consciousness. The reality is my consciousness. Wherever I put, even say like when I paint, suppose I paint, I am putting my consciousness there. It is my consciousness, my expansion. When I see this whole world, it is me and me alone. So we have to identify this, that all this is happening in my consciousness. And therefore, it is not other than me. Okay, we go to the next. Akhanda bodhatmani nirvikalpe vikalpanam vyomni purakalpanam tad advayanandamaya atmana sada shantim parametya bhajasya maunam. So he says dualistic conceptions in the Atman, the infinite knowledge, the absolute, are like imagining castles in the air. Therefore, always identifying thyself with the bliss absolute, the one without a second, and thereby attaining supreme peace, remain quiet. So when you see yourself alone and you are enjoying that self all the time, then there is no need of talking about it. So here he says, Vajasya Maunam. When you interact, the chances are there that you will lose it. So dualistic conceptions in the Atman, the infinite knowledge, the absolute, are like imagining castles in the air. So it is the self, it is the consciousness on which everything is being. See, now we are interacting. It is we are interacting in ourself, in our consciousness. As soon as this is over, consciousness will be there all the time, but images will go away. If we are attached with the images, then there will be misery. Therefore, we have to concentrate ourselves with the consciousness. That is what is being said. And therefore, always identifying thyself with the bliss absolute, the one without a second, and thereby attaining supreme peace, remain quiet. We go to the next. Tushnim avastha. Tushnim. Tushnim means silence. Tushnim avastha paramopashanti buddhe rasat vikalpa hetuho brahmatmana brahmavido mahatmanah yatra dvayananda sukham nirantaram. So, first let me translate and then we'll. To the sages who has realized Brahman, the mind which is the cause of unreal fancies. So mind is all the time will fancy some unreal thing. It will come there. Unreal fancies becomes perfectly tranquil because the mind becomes no mind. Those who have realized there is no function of mind. What will happen to mind? As Sri Ramakrishna says, pure mind, pure intellect, and pure self, one and same thing. So there is no separate mind business. That means no Bhranti Kalpana. So, to the sage who has realized Brahman, the mind which is the cause of the unreal fancies becomes perfectly tranquil. Mind loses its mindness. This verily is his state of quietude, in which, identified with Brahman, he has constant enjoyment of the bliss absolute, the one without a second. So that is why it happens, he becomes quiet. This Ramakrishna went to see Keshav, and as soon as the suggestion came that Keshav also behaves like you, he talks to mother, he sings and weeps. So Sri Ramakrishna was absorbed and he totally became speechless. And then when he wanted to see that time also, he is looking everything as Brahman, everything as mother. Even Keshav, he will not identify like separate from him. So this is what because he, after realization, he looks at that. See, from like an avatar depicts his life in variously, so that even devotees would see, no, he talked to Keshav. So therefore, that is duality. Devotees will find something in that also. We have no problem. Okay, we go to the next. Nasti nirvasanat maunat param sukham sukha krit uttamam vigyatatma swarupasya swananda rasa payinah. Swananda. Swananda means one's own rasa. Own rasa means own bliss. Those who drink their own nectar. To the man who has realized his own nature, own real nature, had and drinks the undiluted bliss of the self, there is nothing more exhilarating than the quietude that comes of a state of desirelessness. So, in that state, Sister Ramakrishna came, wanted to talk, but he got absorbed. Then he was not identified with anything. So, that happens. Okay. These are examples. So, by that, he is trying to tell that state. Okay, next we go. Gachans tishtan upavishan chayano va anyathapi va yatichaya vasit vidwan atma ramah sadamuni. The illumined says, whose only pleasure is in the self, ever lives at ease, whether going or staying, sitting or lying, or in any other condition. So once someone has developed this or identified himself with the self, realized the self, then he always at it all the time. So it is like what he says. The illumined says, whose only pleasure is in the self. Like those who are trained in dancing. So whatever they posture and gesture, it is, all the time it is dancing pose. Those who are well trained in music, whatever they sing in tune and with some bit, tala. They cannot sing like off note. They cannot sing whatever is not in correct beat, because they are trained in such a way. So similarly, those who have realized the self, Sri Ramakrishna, wherever he is his own self. Yeah, sometimes he'll come out of that to interact with devotees. Time also devotees he saw God, devotees, and Bhagavat are one and the same thing in different manifestation. So he may see various manifestations. That's why in Bhagavad Gita we'll find in so many things, I am sapidity in water. Rasaham apsukonteya. Prabhasme shashi surya. I am the brightness or illumining power of sun and moon. Because of that power only we see. So it is the same God is manifesting in so many forms, but not as physical as we see. We are to develop that eye to see that illuminating power. That is what is being said. Okay, we go to the next. Any question? Yes. You see, God is real. Sorry, this world is real. What kind of world? In this world, your your real being is being reflected. That is real. What is reality? Which never changes. Whatever changes, that is not you. Say now we are having this class, and after a certain time, after a few minutes, we'll disperse from here. This is changed. So this is not real. Then what is real? as of now, we are interacting in our consciousness. That is real. I'm talking, standing on my consciousness. You are listening, you are understanding, being in your consciousness. That is real. Even this class, after 5 years, you'll forget this class. But maybe this teaching will be with you. This samskar will be with you. So that is real. That gives you the glimpse of that truth. That what you really are. World as such is temporary. It is fleeting. It is all the time moving. But you are not moving. On you, whatever comes, that is moving. You are stable all the time. That is real. Whatever moves, goes away, how can that be real? The screen on which all the images are being reflected, that is real, but not the images. Light that is shining, similarly our consciousness on which everything is being shown or whatever, that consciousness is real. But whatever is being revealed, that is fleeting. That's going away. So when we say this is God's manifestation, what is that? It is the manifestation of that which is our consciousness. Other things will come and go away. That is not real. Real means what? Which never changes. Whatever is changeful, that is temporary. That cannot be real. But on which it is lying, on which it is being realized, that is real. You are understanding. So your consciousness, because of your consciousness, your understanding, that is real. These words are going away. These are only means. I'm using these words to convey that idea. So idea is like not that temporary. Ideas are a bit higher. But the person that is being trying to develop this, that is real. That's why words are not, words will go away, like it's going away all the time. But the awareness, consciousness on which these words are coming and going, that is real. Right? Okay, so the noble soul who has perfectly realized the truth and whose mind functions meet with no obstruction, no more depends upon conditions of place, time, posture, direction, moral disciplines, objects of meditation, and so forth. What regulative conditions can there be in knowing one's own self? So there is no condition that is applicable to know your own self. So what is say? Nadesha kala asana digyadi lakshyadhyapeksha pratibaddha vritte samsiddha tattvasya mahatmanosti swavedane karyamadhyavastha. So the noble soul, I think time is up. The noble soul who has perfectly realized the truth. So we have to realize this, our awareness, our consciousness. That is unsullied, that is not adulterated. that is not mixed with anything. That is my awareness. When that is realized, the noble soul who has perfectly realized the truth and whose mind functions meet with no obstruction. That means no desire, no disturbances in front of mind. No more depends upon conditions of place, then everywhere he can meditate. Everywhere he can realize his own self. So he no more depends upon conditions of place, time, posture, direction, moral disciplines, objects of meditation, and so forth. What regulative conditions can there be in knowing one's own self? That means no condition is, because once that is it is awakened, the self-awareness is awakened, then nothing is required. No, because all these are peripheral. All these are outside of that realm. We'll stop here. David? David? Any
Swami?
question? Any question?
No, I don't have.
Okay, good.
Well, I do have one question.
Hmm.
How can we realize this quickly?
Yeah, now you can see, like you have asked this question. Who is asking this question? Just analyze. You are aware, because of you are aware, you are asking question. The question is temporary. That questioning mind is temporary. But the awareness is not temporary. Only thing is, we have to find the reality of that awareness. As of now, it is only seeming. We do not delve in it. When we meditate and realize it, then only you'll have that power. So you can just now realize. It doesn't take many births, immediate. This is the advantage of knowledge. As you know, you know. It is like password. As you know password, you can open the whole computer. Your awareness, only you have to make it pure. As of now, it is not pure. You have so many duties to do. And you have, say, fear of COVID and fear of that. And people have a fear of insults, fear of losing money. So all these are outside of you. As soon as you get rid of all those things, you are there. Then there is nothing. That's why Nistrey Gunnapati Vicharantaha Ko Vidhi Ko Nishad. So he is beyond three gunas. There is no vidhi. Vidhi means do this or don't do this. Nishad. There is no control over him. That's Sri Ramakrishna. So sometimes he's like fit and well dressed. Sometimes he's putting his cloth under his armpit and completely naked. He's moving around. For him, there is no rules. You cannot do that. So we have to cultivate to do that. That's why. And knowledge is immediate. It does not take time. What takes time is training of mind. And we close this class and we forget. Till next Sunday, next class day, next Thursday. So that's why it is, but this is to be done all the time. Shruti, Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyas. One has to live this. Then only it will happen. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. We say our prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyati. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Yeah. Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste.
Jai Mas.
Thank you, Jai Ma.